Very good morning to you. Welcome to the second hour of Newsfeed AM. Let's take you to Lamontville now. This is where the Durban residents, and in particular the RDP apartment blocks, have been unoccupied for several months. Now, the apartments are being vandalized, and this is while people who are living in poverty nearby are still waiting subsidy housing. Well, let's talk to our colleague, Karinda Jagmohan, who is following this story for us. Karinda, good morning to you. Talk to us about these apartment blocks. When were they built, and why have they not been occupied or given to deserving people?
Indeed, good morning to you, Oli. Well, you can take a look around us. These apartment blocks, there are 15 of them, known as the Gambushe Mthembu project. They were built in 2019, or at least they were finalized in 2019, and it can house up to 30 families. Now, when this was finalized back in 2019, there were a number of people living in shacks in these areas, in informal houses, but they were removed so that this project could be built and they could have better homes, RDP housing as we know it. But at the time, following the completion, there was a demarcation issue where this ward, previously a DA ward, now came under the ANC. The DA councillor at the time of completion of this project had a list of beneficiaries, the same people who were living here prior to them moving out, so this project could be set up. However, upon the ward changing to an ANC councillor, an ANC ward, that list of beneficiaries changed. There's now an issue of who is supposed to get these houses. But we do have the original list, and I'm joined by eThekwini councillor Sitembiso Ngema, who has spoken before on these issues. Sir, thank you so much for speaking to us. I've just explained the main issue of how these houses came to be abandoned, but you have the original list of who was supposed to get it. And just tell us, what has happened since then.
Thank you very much, Karinda, and your listeners. Apparently, this project started in 2016, 2017 under Councillor Ganas from the DA. And then it was a slums clearance project, as you can see on the file. Yeah. And then after the project was completed, people were supposed to be allocated in houses. And what happened was that they then decided that they will do new boundaries. After the new boundaries, they called back the project until the elections were over in 2021. Then obviously Ganas was no longer a ward councillor here, it was someone else from the ruling party. Then that councillor and the city officials were supposed to allocate people in these houses. They didn't. Instead, they wanted to impose another list. That's where the problem started.
What has happened to the people in this list? As I look here, we have the beneficiary list, the emails, the minutes of the meeting with us. What has happened to these people who didn't get the housing?
These people were moved at the bottom because it was a slums clearance project. They moved them at the bottom. The houses were built. And when these people were supposed to get back to their houses, that's where the problem started, and the infightings started, where the ward councillor was also adding another people who were not on this list. And thereafter, I don't know where is it at the moment, because I can see now that they've already started allocating people, and I can assure you that there will be more noise. Because remember that after the completion of the project, no one was allocated. And as you can see, there's broken windows around here. They had to hire security to safeguard these houses. And nobody wanted to disclose how much it costed. Nobody wants to disclose how much it cost us now as a city to rebuild these houses, because they are now rebuilding them. You can see even the water drainages are already clogging. And then the worst problem is that you still got people who are stuck in transit camps. And there are people who are physically challenged. There are people who got letters from the doctors specifying that those people should be prioritized in any project because of their health status. But the city decided to build houses, hold them back for 5 years, not allocating them, just because of the politics. It's one of the things that the Auditor General touched on, to say in eThekwini we still lack accountability. There's no political will in terms of making sure that the situation is back to normal. Poor planning when it comes to finances, unfruitful irregular expenditure that has risen from debt has risen from to 1.5 billion. That's another problem that we're having in the city of eThekwini. Actually, this city is down on its knees. Mm-hmm. And there's nothing that the city officials and the political leadership in eThekwini is willing to do to actually rebuild the situation and bring back that normality of the city. Mm-hmm. There is no service delivery at all. And the proof of that is that you can't tell me that the city can waste almost 30 million to 50 million building these houses and then decide to abandon them for the last 5 years and then bring them back again to rebuild them. So it's a waste of money and unfruitful expenditure that someone needs to account on this, even the ANC leadership in eThekwini.
Councillor, thank you for your time. While we wrap up, just to show our viewers what you're describing, is you see in the distance the uncompleted RDP house nearby. There's the house where the windows were broken in. Some people have moved here on their own will. They've just moved inside the area as well. And that has really been the issue. So what we see is that over the past 5 years, this housing project was abandoned because of a dispute over who would get the housing projects after this ward was changed from a DA ward to an ANC ward. And at the end of the day, the people who were originally on the list are still living in informal houses just down behind this bush. They had been living here. They moved away hoping to get a house, and they still live in conditions of poverty.
Karinda, Jagmohan, thank you very much for that update live for us in the area of Lamontville. That's the township in Durban.